Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
You're in the 6th round, the official mixed martial arts show of 6thround.com. Hey, if you're a fight fan, we have got you covered with news, opinion, analysis, and so much more. I'm your host, Grayson Doritas, and without further ado, let's get to the action. Welcome to the 6th round, first podcast of 2012. Going to be talking about the UFC on Fox 2 broadcast that happened on Saturday night. What a great event, especially the fights that were on Fuel TV. I mean, you had some great prelim fights that were aired on Fuel before the main card on Fox came on. And, on that main card, if you watched it, and even if you didn't, you know by now that Bisping lost a controversial decision to Sonnen there in the second fight of the evening. While I scored it a draw, I could see how either fighter could have gotten that first round. I think the second went to Bisping. I think the third clearly went to Chael. But, that's a tough fight. And, out of it, Chael gets a shot at Anderson Silva once again. So we have the number one contender for the middleweight championship in the UFC, wondering when that fight is going to happen, hopefully sooner than later, but Dana White did confirm with Ariel Helwani on the UFC post-fight broadcast back on Fuel TV that Chael will face Anderson in Brazil, and it will likely be sooner rather than later this year. Now, you also heard White, president of the UFC, say that he scored the fight for Bisping. I'm not sure if the hardcore fans really enjoy him going against the judges and kind of thinking that may lessen the value of his win in a promotional stance. But really what I like about White's take on that is that he never is going to beat around the bush. He'll let you know what he thought of the fights, how he scored them, what he thinks was good to take away from the evening, what was bad to take away from the evening, what was mediocre. So on that note, I appreciate him sharing an honest opinion about what he thought about the fight, just as he does on many topics, even outside of the fight results. But back to the prelims again, what we're seeing here is that these prelims, whether they've been on Spike, Facebook, Fuel TV, they're really adding a lot of value to the events. And man, you've got some young guns, some real hungry guys that are putting on some fantastic fights, whether it be decision, going to submission, knockout or TKO victory. So my first question for you guys and gals of this podcast is, what was your favorite fight of the past few prelims that you've watched? Would have been some really great moments, just like Charles do Bronx Oliveira's calf slicer that we saw on Saturday night. So tell me in the comments section, whether you're on the 6thround.com or on youtube.com/SeniorMMA, or even on Twitter or Facebook, what your favorite prelim moment of the past few events have been, whether that's on Facebook, Spike, Fuel TV now. Let me know. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. Now, I've also heard some rumblings of people saying that the brand is getting diluted and kind of watered down because there are too many events. But really what I think the beauty of these types of events on FX, Fuel, and Fox are doing is they're giving fight fans more fights. How can that be a bad thing? They're introducing the brand to a new audience, also giving more fights for fans like myself that have been following the UFC for a while, as well as just MMA in general. I mean, I'm a fan of combat sports first, a fan of MMA second, and a fan of the UFC third there. And it's been great to see more fights. I think it shows that the sport is growing overall, and it gives hope for promotions like Bellator, Strikeforce, and some of the local shows to really pick up some more regional attraction and new young talent really coming out of these gyms, as there's more exposure for MMA, and it's shown more on television. You're going to get younger guys getting in the gym, and you're going to see more John Jones popping out of there, and more guys gracing the prelims, and you're going to get more great fights from that. So good overall, in my opinion. And what's also good is that if you're in the metropolitan DC area, sponsor number one, you need to hit MacD Cleaners for the best in dry cleaning services here in the Washington, DC area. You need to give them a call at 202-296-6100 and check them out at 1639 L Street in Washington, D.C. They'll take care of you. You get top-notch service, get your clothes dry cleaned for a quality rate. All right, you can't find anything better than these folks at MacD Cleaners on 1639 L Street at 202-296-6100. What's also quality on a regular basis is Phil Mr. Wonderful Davis. Let me tell you, this guy went 5 rounds with Rashad Evans, but man, he looked good doing it. And by that, I know that he lost the fight. Yes, I watched them. You watched them. We know that he lost. By the way, question number 2 for you guys and gals: what did you think you were most impressed by with Phil? Was it his striking? Maybe a submission escapes? Let me know in the comments section, again, whether you're on the6round.com or on youtube.com/SeniorMMA. But for me, I think that this is the kind of fight that he can really learn from and take away and just, go over with his coaches, go over with Master Lloyd Irvin, at Alliance, and just talk about maybe what needs to happen. Not that he did anything wrong, per se, in that fight with Rashad Evans on Saturday night on the main event of the Fox UFC on Fox 2 card, but really, what can he improve on? What are the major things that he needs to focus on in the next few months getting ready for his next fight? Because, if he continues to shore up some of the holes in his game and, really bring up his striking to at least even half the level of his wrestling, I think, you're really going to see more quality performances out of that guy, and you're going to see him contending before too long there. So I think he can look to a great rest of 2012, as can Rashad Evans, as he goes up and faces John Jones in Atlanta very soon for the light heavyweight belt in the UFC. Talk about a grudge match. That's going to be a good one. But just touching on that fight again in another aspect, the 5-round aspect, I think it's fantastic that these main events are getting 5 rounds, because you're not having that effect of, gee, I wish they could have gone 2 more. There were only 3 rounds available in this fight. I wish there could have been 5. There were 5. You get a more decisive decision. If you're getting a non-title fight as the main bout of the evening, as we had with Rashad going up against Phil. So hope to see plenty more of those. I know that we will. I think the UFC and the athletic commissions made the right call on putting those main events, non-title fights, as 5-rounders. And hey, there's sometimes where you forget that it's going to be a 5er, and you get 2 extra rounds as the icing on the cake. Nothing wrong with that, right? More fighting equals good. I mean, I think you guys and gals can agree with me on that. But switching over outside of the UFC on Fox 2 card and going to something that's upcoming this Saturday night is Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit. What a heck of a fight. There's no way this is going to be a bad fight. And I know that that's said about a lot of bouts, but if you've been watching the UFC on primetime, or the UFC primetime shows, God, you have to be getting pumped for this fight, just like I am. I mean, you're getting more backstory on somebody that's been called reclusive and, just shying away from any type of media in Nick Diaz, but you're also learning more about Carlos Condit. And, when you get more of the backstory on these guys, what they're about, what makes them tick, where's their determination coming from, who's supporting them, you learn about some of those supporting cast members, like the guys at the gym, family, friends, all the coaches. It just makes for a better fight. There's more of a lead up, and who doesn't want that? So, definitely check out the 3rd episode. And if you haven't seen them, go back and check out the first 2 of UFC Primetime, highlighting Nick Diaz and Carlos Condit heading into their interim welterweight UFC title match. The winner of that fight gets none other than George St. Pierre, the current UFC welterweight 170-pound title holder, out with rehabbing an ACL tear right now and had surgery for that. But we can look forward to the winner of this weekend's fight facing him before too long, and that's going to be a good one. What's also going to be good is if you give itsoverprods.com a check on the web, because if you're in need of professional photography services, there's no other place to go. Whether you're in the DC metropolitan area or even national now, look out for this guy in Vegas this year doing some weddings and special events there. You need to check out Stefan Riesenover Photography. It's just, you're going to get quality photography for a quality rate. No argument there, am I right? So whether you're in need of wedding, engagement, sports events, modeling sessions, professional headshots, family photos, check out itsoverprods.com. That's itsoverprods.com, and get at him on Twitter, as the cool kids say, at itsoverprods. And I'd like to give a few shout-outs here to the people that have been supporting the Sixth Round and Sixth Round podcast over the past few years into 2012. And that's Courtney Rawl at Choku on Twitter. Check him out. Great picks from across the pond. Appreciate it, Courtney. Also, Cody Plaxco. That's at Cody Plaxco. And, of course, new father, co-founder of Sixth Round, at Adam from Texas on Twitter as well. Congratulations, buddy. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Sixth Round. Check out thesixthround.com for all the MMA news, information, fight results, rumors, stuff like this, podcasting that you need, and sign up for the email alert so you can get every post delivered straight to your inbox for no charge. And, of course, on Twitter, at 6THRound. That's at 6THRound. And, if you're on the Facebook, hey, of course, on there too. Facebook.com. Search thesixthround.com, or like me, Grayson Doritas, on there to chat some MMA from time to time. Also, the Google Plus making a big swing up in the MMA community. Seems like those guys are taking to Facebook and Google Plus, so find me on there as well. I think we've covered, about every social network that we can right now, but won't take up too much time after this little plug right here. Appreciate you tuning in. This has been Grayson Doritas for the Sixth Round Podcast. See you next time for Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit event fight picks.